Hey everybody. Finally have some time to sit down and tell you guys the story of our trip number 6. It's really funny now. Looking back, it is really a funny story. I mean, there was lots of aspects that were funny in the moment as well, but I'm sorry, there's something in my eye. Ah. Um, but I wanted to tell the story earlier, and I know I told you guys in a previous video that I would be sharing the story or carving out time this past weekend. But both of our kids both of our younger kids that were on the trip with us got colds. And so I was, navigating sick kids on a camping trip and didn't have time to make this video. So now we're at home and I have some time. A little bit of a backstory, and most people enjoy people watching as just something fun to do. My husband and I think it's safe to say, like, love people watching. Like, it's just so fascinating to us. An ideal date is a public place, so we can just watch other people, just how they interact. So I'm in school studying sociology. I mean, that's how much I love people watching. I think we're all just, as humans, fascinating, and I love learning about us. So I have to say that so that you can appreciate the story a little bit more. So we get there on a Friday. We're planning on staying Friday through Sunday, and we did. And Saturday was dedicated to the Ark. The place that we stayed at is called I-75 Camper Village RV Park. And it's apparently under some new ownership, and so they're in some transition, like fixing up the place. That's what they're saying. So okay, we get there and on a Friday, and we first notice, this is probably going to be a little bit different experience. The pictures do not look like the website, which is fine, whatever. We were just there to go to the Ark, and then we just need a place to plug up our rig and sleep. So when we got there, the office was locked, and so I had to call them, and the guy was, getting coffee, he said. I think he's like, oh, I'm just upstairs getting coffee, I'll come down. So he came out of a different building across from the office, and I'm thinking that building was like the bathhouse, but above it might be like living quarters for staff or something. I don't know. But he came out, showed us where, and I noticed that there was some trash in our site. And I said, is there a trash can that I can throw that trash away? And he was like, oh no, there's the dumps way down there. And then he just kind of stopped, and I was kind of like giving him the look like, I'm not going to walk all the way down there to throw this trash away. It's right next to the office. I know he saw it. So whatever. I just gave him a look. Needless to say, by the time we had pulled our rig around, he had picked up the trash that was visible. There's more trash in the fire pit, but whatever. We took care of that. So we get there, and we're just used to, I don't want to sound like a snob or anything, because we're used to state parks where they have, really staff that keep it up, keep everything nice, or resort where they also have staff that keep up the grounds and stuff. So I don't, and I know there are campers who leave trash behind, and that's just how it goes, and that's fine. So I don't want to sound snobbish, but it was just kind of like a different experience. We're still newbies, so that was only trip 6, and so it was the first time we experienced, kind of not upkept grounds. And like all the flower beds and everything had overgrown weeds, and it was just kind of like, all the grass was long, it hadn't been cut. So anyway, whatever. It is what it was. Sorry, I'm mumbling. Getting a little distracted. So this is the 3rd or 4th time I've tried to do this video, and I keep getting interrupted. So bear with me. If I repeat myself, I'm sorry. So we get there on a Friday, pull in to our spot, unpack everything. We get, we have our outdoor floor mat and our chairs and our canopies over, and, we're like getting all situated. Michael and I are out there. Kids are playing something inside the RV. And we immediately noticed this family across from us. Excuse me. There's a drive about the width of a driveway in front of our RV, and on the other side of that was this home. It wasn't an RV and it wasn't a trailer or anything like that, but it wasn't like I don't know what it was. It was a converted home. It was bigger than a tiny home, but it was just it. So there's this family that lived there. We think that lives there. I don't know if they're permanent or not, but they acted like they were. So I'm going to assume they were. And we thought immediately when we saw this family, we weren't judging by any means, but it was just like we picked the right spot. As people watchers, this is prime real estate, because they were just so I don't have names for them. I never got to meet them personally. I really wish I had. I'm sure they're just so fun to be around. But I'm gonna just make up names. So there was grandparents and a young couple, and then a baby. They had a baby, and so the grandparents were young. I mean, I'm maybe mid-50s. They were super young looking. And the grandpa, call him Pops. He never wears a shirt, shaves his head, kind of a beer belly, but not really. I mean, you could tell he's kind of built too, and big old gun on his hip. Just, he's packing. And we're like, okay, why are you packing at home? But okay, whatever. Then the grandmom, also super young. They have this small deck that they have built onto this home, and it's maybe 4 feet by 4 feet. I mean, it's enough for like a chair and then a few people to stand around that chair, which they did often. And then right next to the garden, next to the deck was a little garden with a few flowers and stuff. It was really cute. Anyway, so the grandmom always has a cigarette in her hand and her phone like this. So she's either always dictating everything she's saying, or she's forever talking to someone on speakerphone. I don't know. But this is her right here, 24/7. Well, while she was outside. And then she, in her chair that she sits in on her deck, above it is this like a beach umbrella type thing. So I'm sure that's there. If it's raining, she can still be outside and smoke her cigarettes. So this is her position the whole weekend. And then the young couple, I don't know if it was the young mom's parents were the grandparents, or if it was the young dad's parents or the grandparents, but either way, young mom, she looks super young, have like a 15 to 18 month old baby. He wasn't 2 yet, and he wasn't an infant, but he was definitely baby, kind of walked around in his diaper, kind of baby, but he was very mobile. I mean, everywhere. And just fun family to watch. Like, we were just watching their dynamics. So, and there's also like 3 men and we're going to call them uncles, Uncle 1, Uncle 2, Uncle 3. They're just in and out, like constantly in and out of the show. So Friday afternoon, and Pops has a big old, I'm guessing a Harley, just a big old bike, really loud. And I'm sorry for all you bike people. I think they're super cool, and I think y'all are cool, but when you're just revving up the engine, it's just really annoying. Like, there's just really no reason for it. And we were on a campground, so it was kind of like, I mean, it wasn't quiet hours, so that's fine. But the son, the young dad, was on the bike just revving it up. And so Michael and I are just kind of like, having our drinks, our beverages, just unpacked and watching this family. And so we're here watching this man on his bike. And then the mom like places the baby on the bike. And we're like, oh, okay. And, letting the baby feel what it feels like, I guess, So the baby is just, baby, and he's just like holding on to like the front seat part, in front of the seat or whatever. I don't know what it's called. And they drive off. Like, I'm not talking like they're driving around the campground. Like, they leave the campground. No helmets, Oh, and I forgot to say that the dad is also packing. Like he's the men pack there. That's just what they do. While they pack while they're at home, I don't know. It was a little uneasy knowing that at first, they're like, why do they have guns? But then later on in the story, we're like, thank God they have guns. So we'll get to that part in a minute. We thought that this family was going to be like the prime show. Like, we're like, ooh, this is going to be some great people watching. These are some characters right here. But they weren't. They were the pre-show. So anywho, so they leave. They're gone. Baby and baby daddy gone. They're on this bike for like 15 minutes or so, and then they come back. And Michael and I are just sitting there like, I can't believe they took that baby on that motorcycle. Okay, to each their own again. So they come back, and then evening sets in, and I mean, it's not dark yet, but Uncle One, we call him, comes home. And again, that building that is 2 stories that's across from, and I don't know if I've already told you this or not, forgive me, I've done this video a few times trying to, but the office is to our right, and then across from that is the other building, which is also next to them. And it's 2 stories. So they're constantly going in and out of that building. I don't know if that's like the bathhouse and laundry room for the campgrounds or what, but it seemed like only staff people were going in and out of that thing. So Uncle One comes home. He looks totally ticked off, races by the house in front of, their house, the deck or whatever, and goes straight into the thing, drops something off, I guess, and then comes back out. And he's ticked. I mean, he apparently had just gotten in a fist fight. So he's like, profanity flying out of his mouth, screaming. And Michael and I are like just holding our ears, like, and he's just like, not in there for moving. I hit him with my right, you hit me with my left, and he's just boom, 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 like just going off, just pacing back and forth. And there's Pops on the deck, right? And Pops is just like leaning on the thing. And he's like, just listening to the story, just like, like this is an everyday occurrence, like, okay. And he's just like, and he's just rocking back and forth, and he's flaring his arms, and he's doing all this stuff. It's very, very funny. And we're just like, we love this. Like this is good. This is good. This is good entertainment for us. So anyway, so he calms down or leaves or something. I don't know. And then, some more uncles come and they go and they hang out. They're always hanging out on that little deck and surrounding it. If there's not enough room for everyone to be on the deck, then they surround the deck. And they're all talking. And then, there's Mama, or Grandma, and she's just, dictating her life away, right? Or not away, but you know what I mean. So then, fast forward to the evening, it's like 9:44. We're inside the RV. And it's not quite 10. Quiet hours on the RV places are different at each campground, but this one was like 10 p.m. to like 8 a.m. or something like that. But it was definitely 10 p.m. So it was 9:45-ish, and they rev up that bike again. And we're like, it's not quiet time, so technically they can do this. And they're just, and this time it's Pops on the bike, because I think it's his bike. Then they put baby back on the bike. Now it's like 9:45. You'd think this baby would be tired by now, like wanting to go to bed. Right now, he's going on another joyride. They leave the campground again with the baby on the bike. And we're like, what in the world? Like, why? Okay, it gets so much better. It gets so much better. Okay, so they leave. Baby comes back. Everything's safe. Baby's fine. I guess finally they go to bed. Then the next day we go to the Ark, and we're gone the whole day, whatever, most of the day. Come back late afternoon. And that was so much fun, by the way. Highly recommend the Ark. Don't recommend this campground. So we're unwinding. I'm wanting to take a shower. And it's like maybe 4 or 5, 4:30. I don't know, somewhere around that. And I was like, I'm gonna go take a shower. And then we hear this loud, what sounds like a gunshot. And it's loud, like right next to us, it feels like. And we're like looking at each other, Michael and I, like, what in the world? And we know like our neighbors across from us are packing, but we're like, they don't seem like the type of people that just shoot off their gun, you know? So we're like, it's got to be fireworks. That's what I said. I was like, it's got to be leftover fireworks from the 4th. And I'm like, that's what I'm going with. And I was like, I'm just going to get in the shower. No, in RVs, you can't just take a long hot shower. You have to get wet, and then you have to turn it off because you don't want to fill up your water tank. And then you got to lather up, and I have a lot of hair, so it takes forever to take a shower. Anyway, I have to say that because before I went in the shower, Michael's like, well, I'm going to go outside and see if I can find out any information about what it was. So I was like, okay, fine. So I get in the shower, get my first rinse going, start lathering up. And so the water's turned off now. So he thinks I'm done. So he knocks on the bathroom door. I was like, yeah. And he was like, are you out yet? And I was like, no. And he said, well, when you do get out, I have something to tell you. And I was like, crap, I know it. It was a gun. And so now I'm like racing to get all this shampoo stuff out of my hair. And I'm like, you know, the wheels are turning. And I'm just like, all these worst case scenarios are playing through my head, you know, most of which came out to play in fruition in reality. But nobody was hurt, thank goodness. So my wheels are turning, you know, like there's going to be cops here, we're going to have a raid, there's a gunman, blah, 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 you know, all this stuff. And yes. So we get I get out of the shower. And I'm like, tell me what's going on. And he's like, well, I went out there and the baby mama, the young mom, made eye contact with Michael, and she could tell that he was kind of like, what's going on? And she was like, oh, well, we found out. I didn't hear it. This is her voice in my head. Like, this is what I think it sounded like. She was like, well, we found out what happened with that gunshot. And he was like, okay. And she was like, it's just some guy over the hill. He's angry. He's got anger issues. He's just shooting his gun because he's mad. And Michael's like, and I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, she said it like it was supposed to make me feel better. Like, and he was like, but she kept saying like over the hill, like making it sound like he was far away, like not on this campground. And so he confirmed, he's like, so it's like way over there, over the hill. And she's like, oh yeah, he's just mad. He's just shooting his gun off because he's mad. He's got anger issues. So Michael's telling me that, and I'm like, that's crazy. Like, that's really weird. So then like fast forward, I don't know how much time, some time goes by, and we hear another gunshot. And we're like, this is not good, because now we know somewhere there's an angry man shooting his gun off. You know, we don't know why, we don't know who, we don't know where. Somewhere close, because we can hear it. It's really loud. So we get some AFE going on the TV. Kids love that, and keep them safe inside. So Michael and I go out, and I gotta also tell you about our neighbors on the sides of us, who are all awesome. On our right is an elderly couple and their son and daughter-in-law, and they're all from Ohio, and they were awesome. They were so sweet. The grandma was hilarious. She just, every time she'd walk by, she'd say some one-liner that just made us both start laughing. Anyway, and then to our left were two different campers side by side, that the families that traveled together, you know, just for fun or whatever. And they had kids, and their kids played with our kids. Like, they're all great people. They're also from Ohio. Anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah, so Saturday. Sorry, I'm having a major brain fart. Yes. Okay, so they the second gunshot. There we go. And we're outside trying to figure out what it is. And so Michael sees the pops come out. Actually, I don't think I had come out. So it was just Michael outside. I was still inside with the kids. Pops comes out of his house because he hears the second gunshot too. Curious, and you could tell he didn't know what was going on. And then the staff member manager came out of the office building, and he looks at Pops, and Pops is like, "It's the guy down there. He's shooting his gun off." So they go down towards the gunshot place, right? I don't know if they go together, but they're both gone. So we're like, this is so weird, like it's just weird. And the way this campground is laid out, there's like rows, and each row gets lower. There's like maybe 3 or 4 rows, and at the bottom of the hill, it's a big hill. There's a small lake. Go back up here. I just saw this hand show up behind me. Anyway, so talk about distractions. So in front of us is the family, and then in front of them is where they were headed towards. Okay, so we're like, ooh. So then Pops comes back up, and he's like, yeah, it's a he's shooting his gun off. He's mad. And he was like, he tried to fight me. And Michael's like, what? And he was like, yeah, I went down there to find out what's going on. Why was he all angry and shooting his gun off? And he's like, you weren't fighting? And Pops is like, no, I'm just trying to check on you, see what's going on. And then Michael's like, has anyone called the police? And Pops is like, yeah, we called them. They're on the way. And he points down to the one entrance and exit of this campground, and here comes the lights. Like, there's like this parade of police. Y'all, there was 3 different police departments flooding our RV campground. There's the regular police department, the sheriff's department, and some state troopers. Like, they're all just like collaborated. They're like, some live action going on here. So they come flying into the barricade the entrance, and like you can see they're parked like all over, around each other in the grass and stuff. And they're all like opening their trunks and getting their SWAT gear on, and like bulletproof stuff, and their rifles, and like holding it down like this. And I'm like, we're all like, by this time the neighbors have, we're all out here together. We're all experiencing this together now. Trying to go out. Y'all are so distracting. Anyway, so we start conversing with the neighbors, and like collaborating stories, and like it's so funny because like the mom next to me on our left was like, did you guys see this family right there like get the baby on the bike 2 different times and like drive off? And we're like, yes. And we were freaking out about it, and she's like, and the same with the neighbors on the right, they were all, so it's just so funny if we had like a bird's eye view of like the day before, like all of us in our RVs, and we're all watching this family, just doing their thing. Excuse me. Whew. Had some pork chops for breakfast. Anywho. So, and yes, I said pork chops for breakfast. I'm on keto, and it was leftover dinner stuff. Anyway, so they, cops are swarming in, and they are doing their thing. And I did get a little bit of video of this, so I will put that probably in the comments or another video after or something. It's just like 30 seconds or something, but it's, our son is now a police deputy. And so I was like, I gotta get this for him. I gotta show him, like, 'cause there's deputy sheriffs out there, Anyway, so, like 3 rows down, there was this one camper to our left. I don't know if it's left on you. I don't know if this camera turns it around or what, but it was to our left. And the police like surround this camper, and we're all like, that's not where the gun guy was. Like, why are they surrounding this camper? And I'm going to fast forward a little bit so that you guys know what's going on. We didn't know what was going on at the time, but later on we found out, because the mom of that camper was walking by and told us what had happened later that night. She told us what happened, and she said that her 3 teenage daughters were in that RV, and she had gone to the store. And then they called her and were like, Mom, there's a guy outside with a gun, and he's shooting it. And so she's like, get on the ground, I'm on my way back. So she says she like flies back to the RV, and by that time the police have already barricaded the thing and wouldn't let her in or whatever. So she's like, my babies are in that RV and you're getting them out. So that's why they were swarming this RV, and they evacuated these girls, these poor girls. I'm sure that was so scary for them. But they're like coming out, you know, like this, like, and the guys, you know, the police were like running over to the thing like this, you know, with their guns. They didn't look like that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, it was like the movies. It was so weird and funny and funny. So they're swarming this thing. It wasn't funny at the moment. And they get these girls safely evacuated. And then they, you know, some police went that way and some police passed us and on the little driveway and went around the other way. So they were surrounding this guy. And I forgot to say that when Pops came back up and said, yeah, you tried to fight me or whatever, Michael was like, is he on this campground? And he's like, oh yeah, he lives here. He's a resident. He lives right back there. Like right behind them. So anywho, so there's a man that's angry, shooting his gun on this campground that we're staying at. Thank goodness our kids were inside, but other kids were outside playing. Like there were kids everywhere on this campground, and there's this angry guy shooting his gun. Like crazy. So by the time that, you know, we all realized there was a guy with a gun, our kids were in the RVs. Like, well, they didn't have kids, but all the kids were safely put away. Tucked up and put away. No, they were distracted with their screens inside in the RV. And we felt safe because we have, remember, the family that's all packing, right? They're like, at first we were like, oh, but then we're like, thank you, you know, that they have gotten, so they're like literally standing in front of us in between the gunman and us. We never saw the gunman or the guy. So eventually the police, you know, get this guy in custody. And then that was kind of the end of the exciting part of the story. Oh, no. I totally left out this part. Gosh, I can't believe I left this part out. Okay, so in between the gunshots, nope, after the second gunshot, Pops is already down there with, I guess, the manager. And out of the house in front of us is the dad, the young dad, flies out of it. I don't know if Pops called him to come or what, but he flies out of the door, jumps in his car, and then right behind him is Mama, young Mama, with baby on her hip, and also jumps in the car, and they sped off down towards the gunman with the baby in the car. Now, if I'm a dad or a mom and there's an angry person with a gun, I'm not going to take my baby. I mean, the baby's not packing, okay? He had a diaper maybe that was full, but there was no gun in there. And even if there was, he couldn't use it because he's a baby. So they take the baby towards the madman, all right? The angry man. I can't believe I left that part out. So, guys back in custody, all is well. You know, everybody's back in their RVs, and starts to get dark. And one of the patrolmen, the policeman, came by and was kind enough to just say, hey, I just want to talk to you guys because we're all, you know, all the camper neighbors, we're all out there together. You know, we're in this together. And he was like, I just wanted to make sure that no rumors are get started. I wanted to let you guys know you're safe. And, you know, we have him in custody. He has some mental issues. We got him to the hospital. He's going to get some care. And he was like, but I know how rumors get started, and I want to make sure you guys knew the truth. And Michael's like, so there was 10 gunmen? And the cop was just like, yeah. It was funny. Cop should have laughed a lot harder than that because it was really funny. Anyway, then the cops left, or actually they stayed late, but we all went back in our RVs because there was no more live action going on. And the cops had to stay. He was like, we're going to be here pretty late getting statements. Just getting statements. They didn't get my statement. I mean, I would have added some life to this story. But anyway, the cops left eventually, and the next morning we packed up and left, obviously. We felt safe staying there. The guy was gone. but yeah, that's pretty much the story. And I know like any of my really close friends, or definitely my family, my siblings that are listening to the story are going, only Sarah. Like this would only happen to Sarah. And you're right. It's true. Like I don't go out seeking drama, but somehow it finds me. And I've had great stories because of it. Like this is just one story. Like I have a life. Like I'm 40. So I have like a whole life of these kinds of stories. Not necessarily guns, some, but just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. But anyway, so that's the story. We don't recommend staying at this campground. Again, they said that they're in transition of trying to redo some stuff. I think there's a difference between, and the whole incident aside, I think there's a difference between we're revamping stuff and what we saw, like the lack of care of the grounds and the lack of care of like picking up trash, just like things like that. It's like, you don't have to ignore stuff like that, that just let your campground people enjoy their experience, as best you can. Yeah, you might have some renovations going on, but which there weren't, by the way. But yeah, after that trip, I looked way closer into the reviews. Should have done it before, but there's nothing like that had ever happened before. But there was some really bad reviews, like just bad reviews. Like the bathrooms never get cleaned, and like they even had signs on the porta potties that say you mess it, you clean it, and there's feces all over the walls. Like these are reviews that I read, not experiences that I had, or my reviews. But I tried to post a review, and for some reason it's not showing up. I don't know if it's because I had words like gunshot and like maybe trigger words trigger anyway, that prevent it from being posted. I don't know. I got an email from Google saying thank you for your review, blah blah blah. But when I can see it, because when I'm signed in Google, but nobody I know can see it. So I don't know if you Google it if you can see it or not, but probably not. Anyway, that's the story. And I hope you had a laugh. Go see the Ark. Just don't stay there. God bless.